Hey guys, Philosopher here. No, it's not Philosopher, it's DuArktik, and in this video we are going to talk about this video from Philosopher, one of my favorite content creators for Marvel Strike Force, the goodbye to Marvel Strike Force, and some of the points that he made about why he's quitting the game, the state of the game overall, and the changing in the paradigm of the game, where the Marvel Strike Force is going forward, where the developers are taking this game, and if this is going to be a game for you or not going forward. So we are going to talk about all of that. As always, if you like the video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Also, let me know in the comments below if you'd like to hear me talking about more social issues like this one. Okay, so we are going to talk about the goodbye video from Philosopher. Once again, he was one of my favorite content creators for Marvel Strike Force. He had a similar approach to the game as I have, try to be as efficient as possible. He was very open-minded to different strategies from different people. Many times I was in his live stream giving him my impressions on how to defeat certain content, like on Avengers Tower or Sunrise or something like that. And he was always very open-minded, which is strange for this community, because for some people there is only one way of doing things and they are not open to listen to other people's opinions. So that was something I really appreciated about Philosopher, and also that he didn't care about your politics. So whether you are left-wing, right-wing, center, liberal, libertarian or whatever, he never cared about that. He just cares about the game and the experience that we are all having in the game. So it's sad to see that he's going to quit the game. As I mentioned before, it was long overdue because of the feelings that he had been expressing for a very long time, and he didn't want to accept the direction the game is going. Marvel Strike Force is trying to be as a serious game as possible, maybe very likely trying to be an esport, maybe trying to be something like that with inclusion of RTA, Cosmic Crucible, PvP matches that no one remembers they exist, but they still exist. So the game at least has the infrastructure right now to be esport. So if the game is going in that direction or not, we'll see. Other thing that we know is that the creative director said that they want Marvel Strike Force to be around for at least the next 10 years. So obviously they want to create infrastructure where the game allows for that. We can say that they are lazy with most of the things that they do, but their idea, I think it's legit, and I think they are dedicated on making Marvel Strike Force last for 10 years. They should definitely listen more to the community and take the community more seriously, especially content creators, not only the envoys. The envoys, of course, they have a sort of a direct access to the company, but overall they are not able to do much. But in this video, I'm going to put here some gameplay of the Gamma team in Dark Dimension 3, and we are going to some bullet points that Philosopher made in this video. Okay, so one of the first points that he made that he liked was the character progression. He felt like the game early on when he started playing, and this was around the Dark Dimension 3 and Dark Dimension 4, he felt like the game was going in a good way because he had a lot of resources. This is the problem when you start a new game. There are so many resources that you are getting, there are so many good things, you level up really, really fast and so on. And this is the business model. They try to hook you up with this type of fast progress, but then as soon as you get to the top, the progress starts to slow down. And he is going to compare Marvel Strike Force with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, so we can talk about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm a new player in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and leveling up early on until like level 60 or level 70, it was very, very fast. After that, after level 60, they double up on the amount of experience you need every single level. So from 60 to 85, it has been a nightmare. But as I mentioned, this is what it's the business model. If you take a look at Diablo Immortal, it's exactly the same thing. Any kind of game that is similar to this one, it's going to be somewhat the same thing. So character progression for him at the beginning was nice. It's nice for everyone. That's how they hook you up and keep you in the game. Then he talked about efficiency gearing and the agency that you had in the past. That's true. That's something that I really appreciated, was how we were able to use multiple teams. In the past, I used, for example, to clear Ultima 7 when Ultima 7 was difficult. I was using Thanos, Ebony Maw, I was using Ghost Rider, Mordu, and Hela. That team was a lot of fun, very strong mitigation, healing, and so on. The team was pretty decent. And then when we had these new Doom raids, we had this new paradigm that you need 5 teams because you have 5 lanes, one of each type, and inside of each of those teams, the options that you have available are very, very limited. For example, the Astonishing X-Men on Doom 2, that limits a lot your agency on how you play the game. Once again, comparing it to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where you have 4 raids. I'm still a new player on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, so I don't know if they have more stuff beyond that. But the 4 raids that you have available, you can use any character you want. The enemies, the bosses, they are actual bosses. They have specific mechanics that end rage and that they will stop you from attacking after a few turns. So if you are not able to clear in 15 turns, the boss will one-shot you. And this is something very similar to what you would find on World of Warcraft. You have 10 minutes to kill the boss. If you don't kill the boss in 10 minutes, he's going to enrage and he's going to destroy your team. Marvel Strike Force didn't take that path. And of course, that's a monetary reason because they want you to play the game every day. So you need to have raids. You need to have new raids every day. On Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, I had a raid going for 3 weeks. One single raid going for 3 weeks because it was just too difficult for the characters we had available. And on Marvel Strike Force, how they are going to sell you energy, how they are going to sell you health bags, how they are going to sell you power cores to take over the health packs that you spent and you don't have anymore. How they are going to tell you to spend more money if they don't have the mechanics to do that. So it's a monetary way, it's another monetary system to get your money and get you frustrated in spending, which is of course going to compromise the gameplay and also how much time you have to dedicate every single week for Marvel Strike Force. So this was a decent thing in the past where you had a lot of agency which characters you can use for Ultima 7, and it definitely changed with Doom for the worst. Okay, so after that Philosopher said that nothing was skippable, and this is true to a degree, but not exactly true. For example, characters like the A-Force or the Wakanda or the Uncanny or whatever, you actually don't have to gear them up. You gear them up because you decided to be competitive. Yes, if you want to be competitive, if you want to have all the tools to win, then of course you are not able to skip any character. But this is not the approach for the game. You can be free to play. There are content creators that are free to play. There are a lot of players that are free to play, and they can keep up because they wait, they take their time to make their decisions, they listen to content creators that already made the mistake of investing on those characters, and then they can decide if they want to invest on those characters or not. Are those characters going to be necessary for their progress or not? Many times it's not the case, like Ravagers. You have 5 characters to invest on, you only needed Star-Lord T'Challa. A-Force, you have 4 new characters, you only needed Spider-Woman because she's the only one that has relevance in different game modes. And that's the point, like, if you are trying to be on the top of the food chain, of course you are going to feel all these kind of pressures that nothing is skippable. It's 100% not true, and this is a mindset that we need to fight back because it's just not true, and it's corrosive, and it motivates people to be always on the edge. And I don't like this when I see other content creators rage baiting or using negative emotions in order to get more clicks on their videos. That's definitely good for your income. For income, you make more views, you get more money. But it's not good for the state of the game, and it's not good for the community overall. If you are rage baiting people all the time, that's not going to be a good thing. So saying that nothing is keepable is definitely not true. Now, other thing is that you mentioned that Marvel Strike Force is a second job. It can be, yes, but that comes down to problems of communications that we have with our alliances, and also our expectations. You don't have to do 10 raid attacks per day. You don't have to do 8 rotations of Blitz per day. You don't have to do war every single day. This is a problem that we create to ourselves. In the alliance where I am right now, war is not a priority. We attack whenever we have time, we win if we win, we lose if we lose. Of course, if you're going to be competitive, of course, if you are going to be on the edge, it's going to feel like a second job for sure. But if you have the right characters, if you have the right communication with your alliance, if you follow the good content creators that tell you exactly where you should invest, you are not going to have these kind of problems. And you don't have to 100% raids every single day. If you think about it, you have, right, if you don't have like a special event dedicated for Blitz, you probably have to Blitz like 1 time per day. Then in terms of raids, you have, now you can sim the Gamma raids, the Greek raids, that's going to be fine. And then on the Doom raids, you spend your early 50 energy, and if you have good coordination with your alliance, you are aiming for 60%. Aiming for 100% when the rewards are barely an increasement over the rewards from 60% are just a little bit lower than the rewards at 100%. So there is no reason for you to be tryhard about it. Oh, it's because of the raid season. Why? Why are you stressing yourself out for these? You don't have to. You don't have to spend all this extra time. You don't have to be so much on the edge in order to enjoy the game. The more you push yourself to the edge, the less you are going to enjoy the game. That's like guaranteed. So yes, sometimes it might feel like a second job, but that's because you set those expectations to yourself. If you lower your expectations, you don't have to spend as much time. I'm not spending almost any time playing Marvel Strike Force. This is why I have time to play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, why I have time to play Dokkan Battle, why I have time to go outside and do other things. It's just not the case as it was in the past. In the past, yes, you had to Blitz every single day, 8 rotations per day. Now is not as much, but you have to be focused on what you are doing in order to don't fail these monthly long events. But if you, once again, if you follow the good content creators, if you follow the content creators that tell you exactly what to do, Boylan does pretty decent. I also do very well. I try to make things as easy as possible to understand. So once again, you don't have to invest too much on your characters, and that's not only in terms of resources, it's also in terms of time. Now, other point that Philosopher made is no more agency. And while this is true, the agency of the game has been greatly diminished. It was always like this, or at least it has been like this for a very long time. Since Doom 1, since they made these new raids where you need 5 teams, since Dark Dimension 5 where you need 5 or 6 teams or whatever, the agency have been greatly diminished. The character progression is extremely linear. It's ISO 8 blue, it's a straight line up, red star straight line up, but people said in the past that they don't want mods on like they have in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And of course this is a problem, because if you want more agency, and if you already have set these linear progression systems, and you are not open to new ones that are not as linear, then you are saying that you want, but you don't want at the same time. So this is a problem that people need to change their mind. People need to be more open for different perspectives, because the developers don't play the game the way we play, and the perspective they have, it's also not the same we have. Now, we definitely don't want speed mechanics like they have in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It's just too much, the speed, and how specific you have to be with the rolls and so on. But you could have a crit roll, you could have mods with crits, mods with more focus, mods with more resistance. That would be welcome. The things we don't want, speed and dodge. Beyond that, everything is good. Everything is fair game. More crit chance, more crit damage, more base stats, more focus, resistance, and so on. There is no problem with that. So, if we want to increase our agency, we need to be open for these new systems of progression. And I really hope that in the future we can see mods in Marvel Strike Force just without the dodge and without the speed. So that's going to be one way of increasing the agency. Now, they could also increase the agency by removing the energy from the raids, but once again, that's going to compromise their earnings, so I don't think they will do that. Other way is just make more characters viable. We have so many mutant characters, but only 5 or 6 or 7 are viable. We have like 50 mutant characters, 7 are viable. The same goes for the Mystic characters. We have so many Mystic characters, only 5 or 6 are viable. So this is something that they need to change. They need to stop like enforcing the meta on us. They could recommend, like new warriors, they can recommend these characters for us by giving them raid tags, but it shouldn't be mandatory. You can still take Eternals and Morgan Le Fay and so on and beat the raids. So there needs to have some more flexibility in terms of which characters we can use in different game modes. Now, the cost of the game. The cost of the game, once again, this is something that you set for yourself. Do you need to spend $1,000 per day on the game? No. Do you need to spend $400 on the game per month? No. Do you need to spend $200 on the game like I do? No, you don't. Can you play this game free to play? Yes. If you want to be on the top of the food chain, if other people are spending money, you are setting your expectations to be like those other people because you want to be competitive. Once again, this is all a matter of perspective. This is all a matter of you defining your own path. If you want to be on the top of the food chain, if you want to have a dick bigger than everyone else, of course you'll have to spend the same amount of money or more, or somewhat a little bit less maybe if you are more efficient. But you'll have to spend as much as the guys that are on top. You cannot be on the top without doing that. And that's a reality that we have to accept because this is the way the game is going forward. All these type of games, Diablo Immortal, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and Marvel Strike Force, and even Dokkan Battle, it's all about having the top meta characters. And this is how these companies are funded. It's by increasing the meta, increasing the power creep, and making you chase that power creep. Is that a good thing or not? It's up to you to decide. It's definitely predatory. It's definitely trying to motivate you to spend your money. But once again, you can play this game free to play. You can still be competitive. There are content creators like, once again, Boylan. He is mostly free to play, and he is not as on Diamond Plus like I am, so Diamond 3, but he's on Diamond 2. That's very good. So he's doing that mostly free to play. So you can still be competitive. You just have to organize your expectations and be well informed on what are the best options to invest in. Okay, let's talk about the next point. You don't know what you are getting. And once again, this is true to a degree, but this is also not true. This is related with the Scourge event, because the rewards of the Scourge are tied in behind a leaderboard. You never know what are the final rewards that you are going to get, but that's the point with any leaderboard. That's the point of the competition, is that you have to fight for what you want. And saying that you don't know what you are getting, this is not true. And once again, this is based on our expectations. Do you want to have a 7 stars Morgan Le Fay on the first run? Then you have to pay. Then you have to play 10 hours per day of the Scourge event in order to get the perfect RNG. But you definitely know what you are getting for sure. You are getting 100 shards for Morgan Le Fay from completing the milestone. So this is, once again, it's setting your expectations. And once again, the more competitive you try to be, the less you are going to enjoy the game, because it puts you on the edge. So once again, this is a mindset that you need to change. You need to chill out on how competitive you try to be, and you have to remind yourself that if you try to be super competitive, then you are going to suffer the consequences of that. You'll have to spend more money, more time, you have to dedicate yourself more to the game, and this is something that you don't have to do. It's something that you choose to do. So you definitely know what you are getting. You are getting 100 shards with every single scourge. If that's enough for you or not, once again, it's up to you. But it's definitely better than what we had in the past, that most of the legendaries were not available for players on the first pass. If you keep up with the meta, if you listen to content creators like myself, and if you focus on resources only on the characters that matter, you are going to get those 100 shards for the new legendary character, and you are also going to unlocking the legendary characters on the first pass. This is something that was not happening in the past. We had Omega Red that a lot of people were only able to get Omega Red on the third pass. So this is a bigger improvement from what we had before. Once again, if you want to get a 7 yellow stars Morgan of Fae, you are just setting your expectations way too high, and you are just demanding too much of yourself in order to achieve those goals. Then he said, MSF is fun if you are not trying to keep up. That's the whole point. That's what I've been saying for this entire video, is that the more you try to keep up, the more you'll be on the edge, and the more your money, your time will be less useful. It's like a graphic of diminishing returns. You go pretty high and then it starts to slow down, because the closer you are from the top, the less enjoyment you are going to have. Of course, this is for some people. If you have like infinite money or whatever, it's irrelevant for you, because you'll always go up and you'll always reach the top. But if it's not the case, then you just need to chill your expectations and enjoy what you have. Sometimes I get frustrated when I face whales and lose, because they just have massive rosters and they have infinite gold and infinite training materials and so on to invest in these characters. But that's because I'm also on the edge of what I'm able to do. So I have to adjust my expectations and my reactions accordingly. So yes, you'll have more fun. You'll have more fun with Marvel Strike Force in case you don't try to be competitive to the max. You can try to be somewhat competitive, but it's the same as spending your time. You don't have to spend 4 hours or 5 hours per day on Marvel Strike Force. You can spend 1 hour, maybe 1 hour and a half, and you'll be happy with it. The developers don't want to change. Of course not. Once again, they have this plan that they have for the next 10 years, where they want to take Marvel Strike Force in this path along. So why would they change the game? You need to change your perspectives, and you also need to understand the game. This is not a game that you can play as casually. Once again, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, you can play more casually, but you are also not getting any rewards at all. What I do when I log into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, I do my dailies, and I collect the items from the store, and that's pretty much it. So if you are not at the max level, if you are not doing Grand Arena, you don't have many things to do. And even when you are at the top, I mean, the game is pretty much dead already. The game has been going for 6 years, and saying that you don't have problems with character progression or gear efficiency on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, it's because we have not paying attention, because the problems on that game are even worse than on Marvel Strike Force. We can complain about how many characters we have to invest in Marvel Strike Force, but let's be honest, with this new scourge system, they have been giving us a lot more gear, they have been giving us a lot more training materials and gold to invest in our characters. Once again, you just don't have to invest on all the characters. You might have to invest on all the Horsemen, but all these other secondary teams like A-Force, Inhumans, Ravagers, you don't have to do that. So once again, focus on what you actually have to invest on, and ignore the rest. You don't need everything. This is the problem. Don't try to have everything, because this is going to be a recipe for disaster. So yeah, the developers will not change that because Marvel Strike Force is not that bad. It's different from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, it's different from other type of games, but once again, just don't set your expectations too high, or don't set the wrong expectations, or don't try to act like this game is like every other game, because that's going to be the wrong thing. Another thing, just because this is a mobile game, you shouldn't downplay it. Let's be honest, these mobile games, they are here to stay, and this is what all the Sega, Nintendo, all these gaming companies, this is what they had. For decades, they have been trying to put the games on your hands, not on your house. And we finally achieved this point where you can play high quality games everywhere you go. So why would they change that? They want to use this function as much as possible, and let's be honest, we enjoy this. This is why we play this game, it's because it's enjoyable. We like to have some kind of adventure every now and then on our mobile games. So don't look down, oh, it's a mobile game, so you need to downplay it. No, forget about that. That time is over. This is not Candy Crush. This is a very high skilled game. You need to have a lot of knowledge about the characters. You need to have a lot of knowledge about the interactions. This is no different from chess. This is a turn-based RPG game. It's no different from chess. So if you appreciate the skill that some chess players have, or even poker players, this is on the same degree. Just because it has Hulk and Shuri and whatever in some other green characters, you should not downplay the skill and the dedication that you need to play this game. So that's one of the things that and that's actually one of the worst things that people do, because if you downplay the game, you are telling the developers that it doesn't matter what they do because you'll pay anyway. So why are you downplaying the game? You should value the game as much as possible in terms of competitiveness, because if not, you are just telling the developers, oh, you can do whatever shit you want, that will pay for them anyway, as long as it has the Marvel tag. So think about this, because this is the problem. Oh, it's just a mobile game. It's not just a mobile game. You cannot take things like this anymore. It's something where you are competing, something you are fighting on leaderboards, so you cannot say that it's just a mobile game, otherwise it's just another card collection game or some other thing like that have no competitive value, like baseball cards. And when you compare to like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering or so on, you have tournaments across the world going on because of it. So why is this any different if it's exactly the same type of game? So I really hope people change the mindset about this, and this is why the developers don't want to change. Okay, so one of the last points that Philosopher made is Marvel Strike Force versus Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. The games are similar on the structure. They are both turn-based RPG hero collector games. That's the base. You collect heroes, you increase their stats, that's the RPG element, and then you have the strategy, because turn-based strategy, because it's like chess. That's what's similar. Now, in terms of the gameplay, they have the same arena as we have. They have the ships, which I find very interesting. We don't have ships in Marvel Strike Force, or the space boats, or whatever you want to call it. That's the interesting part that they have and we don't. They have the Grand Arena, we have the Cosmic Crucible. Grand Arena is way better than Cosmic Crucible, let's be honest. Cosmic Crucible is 100%, it's not 100% trash, but it's lazy, and for me that's the biggest problem of Marvel Strike Force, is that everything is lazy. While the animation of the characters are pretty decent, you can see right here the animations are very good, everything else is extremely lazy. The maps, we have very few maps, and some of them are like super generic, very low quality. Then we have all these constant bugs that we have. You cannot even use skins in the game without the game crashing. Then you cannot use the skin portrait on your character portrait. It's ridiculous. The player ID, it has not been changed for millions of years, and you cannot see your war ranking. There is no arena ranking except the number. On Blitz also there is no ranking, there is no logos, there is no iconic visual images that show how good you are as a player, and this is something that is super lazy, and it doesn't give that prestige that other games have, like Halo or Quake or whatever, because if you are on the top of those games, you have your tags, you have your badges, you have all these things that Marvel Strike Force could also have. They could also, since we have to be competitive and since they push us so much to the edge, why don't we have all these badges and tags and pictures that show our rankings and how we are doing in the game? So this is something that we have in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. They show right away, if you check a player, it shows the ranking on the arena, the ranking on the Grand Arena, and so on. And that's something that is missing from Marvel Strike Force. And once again, it comes down to laziness, or it comes down for the lack of attention to the motivation of the players, what makes players proud over their status in game, and they could somewhat capitalize on the spirit since they are focusing so much to progress as much as we can. Then other comparisons that we can make from Marvel Strike Force and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, they have a structure in terms of the character release cadence, and that's fine for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. For Marvel Strike Force, that's not possible because of everything that is going on with the MCU and Marvel in general, and the comics and the anniversaries and so on. Star Wars is mostly dead. Like we have the 9 movies, the last 3 were 100% trash. Then we have the TV shows on Disney Plus, but Star Wars is pretty much dead. The story is not progressing anymore, and rarely we have new content. It's not the case with Marvel, because you have all these alternate realities, you have all this nonsense. To be honest, it's really nonsense. One day Scarlet Witch is the daughter of Magneto, the next day she's daughter of whatever nonsense that they made up. One day Iceman is the biggest chad ever, the next day Iceman likes to put stuff up his butt. So this is what kind of nonsense that Marvel Strike Force has to deal with, and it compromises the cadence of the release characters. It compromises how fast they can become farmable, because all of that becomes interconnected. Because if you have to delay Blade because the movie was delayed, then you have to make Mordo a Dark Hunter when it was not intended to begin with. And this is something that we need to have more understanding, but we also should have more communication from the developers. This is something that is always lacking, is the communication between the developers and the players. Finally, we have the last point from Philosopher: money invested equals to nothing. Well, that's pretty much everything in life. You born, you try to gather resources, so you increase your chances of survivability, then you try to reproduce, and then you die. That's pretty much it. It's like this in every aspect of life. We born and we die. The universe also borns and dies, or whether you believe in something else, if you believe that God created things, at some point they will be gone. Either way, because if someone created, they can as easily destroy. And what we have is the experience. What we have is the experience of playing the game. If you spend money in Marvel Strike Force, you are going to have early experience. You are going to beta test the characters early on. We can show off the portraits or whatever we like. We can make videos about the new characters early on. But once again, you need to balance out the experience with the price, because if the price tag is too high, then the experience might not be as enjoyable. So, and once again, at the end of the day, at the end of these 10 years that the developers talk about, 10 or 20 years or whatever is their goal, at the end of this time, the game will eventually die. So, or you enjoy the most, or you have to change your priorities. Are you going to be here on Marvel Strike Force for the social aspects? That's going to be great. If you are in a cluster, if you have a big alliance with a lot of people there, that's going to be great. If you are here for the gameplay, then you have to lower your expectations. You have to lower what you expect in return. You are getting this experience. If you like this type of game, then you are going to have a good experience, because you are doing something you like. It's like fishing. If you ask me to go fishing with you, I will go, but I will hate it, because I don't like to look at the ocean for 10 hours straight and do literally nothing. At least this is the fishing experience I have. But if you do something you like, then you cannot say that you didn't enjoy it. Whenever I play Marvel Strike Force, I have my brain being challenged, trying to break all these puzzles, trying to be as efficient as possible, and have this brain activity is pleasant to me. For other people, it might not be, and many people play Marvel Strike Force and they don't like Marvel Strike Force. They don't like chess, they don't like card games, they don't like strategy, they like action, they like other things. They like collecting pixels. That's fine. Maybe Marvel Strike Force is not a game for you, and this is something that you need to pay attention to. Have you ever played StarCraft? Have you ever played Command and Conquer Red Alert? Have you ever played any of these games? Do you like strategy games? Okay, maybe you like these. Have you played Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy VI? Do you like turn-based RPGs? Okay, so maybe this is the game for you. If you never played these games before, if you like to play FIFA, or if you like to play Mortal Kombat, maybe this is not the game for you, because you don't have as much action, you don't have as much interaction as you have in other games. And if you are playing like this on auto, you probably also don't enjoy the game, because if you play on auto, you definitely don't care about the gameplay experience. So we cannot say that money means nothing. Once again, you are having an experience. It's like eating a steak. After you eat a steak, you don't remember what's the flavor anymore. The moment is gone, so you just have to try to maximize the good experience that you have with the longest period of time possible. And once again, if you try to be at the edge, if you try to be always on top, the expectations are going to be worse, the experience is going to be worse, because once again, it's the diminishing returns. The higher you are to the top, the less enjoyment you are going to have. And in my opinion, this was the biggest problem with Philosopher. He went from somewhat casual, and then he went very, very high to the top. And if you cannot keep up with that, and especially if you have such a busy life, that's definitely something that in the long run, it's just going to become bitter, and then you're going to start to hate, and then you'll eventually quit, which is unfortunate, because once again, Philosopher was one of the best content creators out there, at least in terms of attitude. Also in content, his content was very A+. Okay guys, so that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I gave you some perspectives on how you have to take the game. Once again, the higher you try to be to the edge, the least will be the enjoyment that you have for this game. And also ask yourself if this is the type of game for you. If you don't like turn-based games, if you don't like strategy games, this is not a game for you. If you prefer games like with a lot of action, like FIFA, some sports game, or if you like Mortal Kombat or some first-person shooter, this probably is not going to be the game for you. You can enjoy it casually, but it's not going to be your main thing. And if you make it your main thing, you are going to be experiencing something that you really don't fully enjoy, and over the long run, that's just going to become bitter and then dreadful, and then you just hate the game and the community and so on, and that's definitely something we don't want. So that's going to be the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, and let me know in the comments below what you think about all of these. And once again, it's very sad to see Philosopher go, but as I mentioned, it was long overdue because of the way his feelings were progressing throughout Marvel Strike Force. As always, if you like the video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.